Anyhow, so today we're going to take a look at leadership, and we're going to take a look at specifically maybe another way at looking at leadership. Whoa, hang on a sec here. All right. So
I'll
let's start
monitor
out.
people, by the way. I'll monitor to see if anybody's raising their hand.
Yeah, raise their hands or if they have questions. I think what I would like to do is to have have people have maybe pen and paper handy or something to jot some notes down if that's possible, because I've got a little exercise that we're going to do partway through this. So, okay. So, what is leadership is the first question that people have. And for everyone, they have a very different impression about what leadership is. And here are a few examples of what people think it might be. The interesting one I find is the balance one, many versus one. It sounds like an episode from Star Trek, if you guys have, are Star Trek fans, right? As Spock says, the concerns of the many outweigh the concerns of the one. So is that what leadership's all about? Well, maybe it is, but I think a much better definition is about social influence. And it's about social influence that's about maximizing the efforts to achieving a goal. And I think for our case here, it's about achieving a goal that's to the mutual benefit of everyone. So it's for the greater good. Now, the first fundamental thing that we have to consider is the distinction of leadership, which is two parts. It's one, it's a position, but it's also about the person and their leadership. So when you think about it in the context of the person, which is what this is about, so people who are, considered leaders could be in positions of leadership, but there are other people who are not in positions of leadership who may also be considered leaders. And in both cases, there are some skills that are required to execute social influence and be able to influence socially. And some of these are on the screen. Okay. It makes sense. I'm sorry if you can't see the screen. I'll read them off quickly for you. I usually don't read off the screen, but I'm not sure if you guys can see the screen or not.
We can see it just fine. So I think you can ask participants. You can ask participants to read it.
Yeah, so I think what I'll do is I'll just read them off so that you understand what they are, just in case you're on your phone and you're not able to see it on the screen. It's really small. So the first one is communications. The second one is relationship and influence, and it's about team building and teamwork. The next one is interpersonal, which is about your demeanor and your engagement and how you engage people. The next one is about problem solving and decision making. And the last one is about delegation and managing the actual work. So these are some of the skills you require to be able to do the social influence that's necessary. Now, some of the other things that you hear about for great leaders is that they need to have vision and clarity and focus. And they need to be decisive, and they need to be honest, and they have to have integrity. And they have to have passion and compassion about what they're doing and the causes they're fighting for. And they need to have empathy to build with their people that they're working with. So there are so many more, but these are only a few. And then so people then talk about, okay, so what's the role of leadership? It's about the vision. It's about their organizational structure and the communications protocols that they build for their organization. It's about that person being a role model, having people behave in the way that they are behaving. It's about being inspiring and being motivational. It's also about knowing when to delegate and when to empower. And here is one of the more important ones. You need to know as a leader when to check your ego at the door, because it's about the greater good. So you need to be, you need to know when you should be a great follower as well as when you need to be a great leader. Because there may be someone in your room who knows the topic and the subject and the situation better than you do. And you need to have the confidence to be able to let go and let that person lead, and you become the follower. The problem happens is when you are in those settings and you start banging heads with other people, it's the ego at work, not your confidence. So be very, very aware that delegation and empowerment is very important in you being able to be perceived as a great or a good leader. And then the last one is the role of the leader is to build trust. Okay. So you go on to say, okay, well, now, so what? Well, here are some of the functions of leadership. The leadership function is about setting the goals, making sure you understand how the teams are organized, initiating the action, delegating, coordinating it through other people potentially, or yourself, or directing and motivating. So it's really important you understand all of these things that are happening as the role, as the functions, as the primary skill sets, as how you socially influence. And again, there are several other topics under leadership that you can actually have. You've got all kinds of things about conflict resolution, about negotiating skills, about problem solving. There are 100 of these. They can go on and on forever. I've only listed 7 here, so I'll go through them. Conflict resolution, dealing with change, problem solving, leading innovation, team building, decision making, and critical thinking. And all the wonderful literature out there has now said that there are X number of styles of leadership that you need to be aware of with their associated characteristics. So you have some things that, now, I heard, what was it, about 10 days ago, there is a new grid of leadership styles that came out, one on the X-axis, one on the Y, and the combinations of those characteristics gives you the possibility of 81 leadership potential styles. Now, I've only listed 10 here. So now, I was not going to list all 81 because I have no idea what they're all about. So the 10 that I understand are things like autocratic leadership, democratic leadership, laissez-faire leadership, coaching type leadership, transformational type leadership, charismatic, bureaucratic, visionary leadership, pace setter, and the last one, and certainly not the least, that's now very, very evident out there today, is servant leadership. And the other one I've heard about also that seems to be quite interesting is authentic leadership. So you can have all these leadership styles, but what I want you to consider right now is what are all of these things that we've just covered pointing to? It's pointing to all the external things that you are doing, all the external things you need to consider, how you need to deal with others. So right now, I want to give you another perspective on leadership. And that is something I called aligned open leadership. Yes, Dr. Jessica Ash, I am actually going to premiere it here. Okay. Yes. So it's what I call aligned open leadership. And so what is it? It's about how you align your self-leadership with the leadership of others. All the things I've talked about previously is about how you lead others. It's not about how you lead yourself, why you lead yourself, and what you're going to do. So the first thing to figure out is, okay, so if you're going to be a great leader, or you're going to be a leader, or you're going to be considered a leader, and that's one of the things you should consider, leadership is bestowed upon you because people, what? They want to know you, like you, and trust you, and follow you because they know, like, and trust you. So the question is, where does that come from? It comes from you as a human being, and it's about your own internal personal development and growth and your self-leadership of yourself. So let's first of all take a look just as, slightly at what self-leadership is, okay? So it's about how you lead your own life. It's about setting and following and correcting course for what you want to do for yourself. It's a reflection of how you work with others. And it reflects upon how you work with others. And it's also about, yes, Ms. Jessica, you have a question or an answer?
Yeah, I do. I have a question. So how does my personal leadership of myself reflect how I work with others?
Well, I am going to get to that.
Okay.
So give me a couple of minutes and I will show you how it all fits together, okay? And I'll actually answer the question. If at that time I didn't answer the question, then of course, you can ask it again, okay? So when you look at it, it drives, when you look at self-leadership, it actually drives how you think, how you act, how you interact, how you collaborate, how you communicate. But how do you lead yourself is the next question. It's about the control of your thoughts. It's about the initiatives that you take in every situation. It's how you prioritize for yourself, how you think, how you act, how you make the decision, and how you prioritize the personal growth that's sustainable for you. The question is then, okay, so why is it so important? Well, it's important because it helps you to form the foundation to actually accomplish your goals. It helps you to be the better leader for others. As I said before, you know when to lead and you can figure out when to follow. And it's not driven by the ego, it's driven by you just being you. It allows you to influence others and to take actions for defining and achieving those goals. And it's about establishing and maintaining the life balance that you so critically need if you are going to be effective. It also allows you to regulate and master that emotional reactions you have to most things and being able to catch it before it takes you off course, to make decisions and to take actions that are detrimental to where you want to end up and what the goals you're searching and you're going after. And finally, and last but not least, why is it important to you? It's about your passion and your purpose. So let me now show you, there are 4 components of this self-leadership model that I've built that I'm going to share with you. So there are 3 keys, there are 4 steps, and there's a foundational framework and 3 practices. And if you want to understand more about how this works, I can only give you a 20,000-foot view of this. I'm not going to get into how it works and how it's done. I'm going to give you what it is and why it's important today, because I just don't have enough time, okay? All right, so here's the model. The 3 keys are the awareness, the consciousness, and the mindfulness. And these are important because Dr. Jess is having an interesting reaction. It looks like she agrees with it. So it's about awareness, consciousness, and mindfulness. And why? Well, because you have to understand where you are today, where you want to be, 1. More importantly, how your past, how your present, and how your future is impacting you, and relatively where you're at. You also need to understand and be aware of some really amazing things, such as how your past, your present is going to affect your future. You also have to be aware of yourself and others around you. You have to be aware and conscious of your emotional state and finding the balance. So if you're aware about the people around you and yourself and how your interaction with the environment, how your past is influencing you, what you want to do in the present to fulfill the future, then it's half of the battle. If you're not aware, you're like a boat on a river just floating downstream. You hit the first class rapid and you're bouncing around and you're going, oh my gosh, now what do I do? Oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Oh my gosh. And then the rapid clears and you're going, oh, phew, thank goodness. Okay. And then one of these good days, as you're going down the river, you're going to hit that class 5 rapid and boom, out of the boat you go. Guess what? Now you swim back gingerly into the boat and you kind of get up the next morning going, look in the mirror and think to yourself, okay, how did I get this way? And now what do I do about it? the ability to be conscious and aware about what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, and what the net impact is on you, and not only you, but the people around you and your environment, and not only locally, not only regionally, not only nationally, but globally, what's the impact you're having. This is not just about you. It's about your place in the world. It's in your place. It's about your place in the universe and what you're going to contribute and what you are going to provide because of your knowledge and what you bring to the table. So this is critical, these three. Now, the next part is obviously, you know, the person going down the river in the boat hasn't discovered anything yet. So the first step to this is you need to discover who you are. You need to then be able to develop who you are, utilize who you are, and then be able to sustain that personal development and growth ongoing. And how do you do that? With three simple practices. One, about what are you being purposeful about it? Two, are you reflecting on it on a regular basis, daily, hourly, week, whatever it takes? And are you taking the practice actions to see that you're gaining the improvement and the skills and the place that you want to be? Because it's the positive actions and it's the practice actions that gives you the habits that you need to execute what you need to do in order to achieve what you need to get to maintain. Now, the last one is the foundational framework. And the foundational framework is what you're actually working on when you're being conscious and aware and you figure out the 4 steps and you're taking time for the 3 practices. The foundational framework is about your core, your creed, and your mindset as one layer of the foundational framework. So right now, I'm going to take a look at core. And here's what I would like you guys to do for me, okay? And ladies and guys, sorry.
No worries.
Here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to take a piece of paper, please. And I'm going to define core as value, ethics, morals, and convictions. Okay? And the creed is, of course, the principles that you live by, and the mindset is the mind. What do you want to call mindset? Attitude, inclination, intent, feelings, emotions, all of those things. Okay. So here's the exercise. I want you to write down on a sheet of paper in under 1 minute, 10 characteristics that best describe you. So here we go again. 10 characteristics that best describe you. In under a minute, on your mark, get set, go. I feel I should be playing the theme from Jeopardy. For those of you who know what Jeopardy is, Jeopardy is a television program where they ask lots of questions, and it's usually a minute, and there's a theme music that's played, I don't know, for the last 25, 30 years or so on this television program. So, but I'm not going to hum it today. That would not be a good scene. All right, 30 seconds left. 30 seconds. Yeah. All right. See, that's why there's that little see that little balloon guy pointing his finger in the air. That was my reminder to do the exercise. Sorry, guys. Okay, time's up. Okay, I would like you guys to put into the chat, and Jess, can you read them for me? How many did you get? Don't lie, be honest, please. Tell me how many you got in under a minute. Yeah, just type them and put them in the chat.
Type in the chat. 4. Hank and Sally got 4. Helga got 9. Gowrie got 8.
Okay. So that's good. Thanks, guys, for participating. But here, let me tell you the results of this when I do this, okay? So I've done this probably a couple of thousand times, or maybe 1,000. It's been a number of people, okay? Now, would you like to put in the chat what percentage of people actually got 10? And maybe Jess, if I could ask you to read them out, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't count because I knew
You
what the
already
goal
know.
was. Thank you, Sarah. Sarah typed 20% of the people got 10.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hate to tell you this, Sarah, it was actually 5%. 5% of the people actually understood that enough to write to get 10. Okay. The other 95% fall into two groups, 7 or 8 or 5 and 6. Very rarely do I get people who have 9, like who got 9? I think it was Helga got 9. Okay. But yeah, she's working in the field. She gets this. That's why. But usually it's 5 to 6 or 7 or 8, and very rarely 1 to 4 as well. Okay. But here's what I would say to you. Of all
Princess,
the ones.
do you have a question?
Oh, Princess has a, okay, go ahead.
Okay, I had 8, but I've wrote it down onto my book here. I can explain you what I have wrote.
Okay, tell me, go ahead.
Honesty, respectful, love, caring, understanding, trustable, spiritual, and friendly.
That's very good. That's really good. So here's what I'm going to also
I've
tell
got
you
my
about
book
what
here
I
and I was
found.
writing
Yeah,
it here.
perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's also what I'm going to tell you about what I found in doing this exercise. People forget many things that are near and dear to their heart. They'll forget things like, as Princess Virginia Mackey said, love and honesty and trustworthy, integrity, empathy. They'll forget so many things of who they are. But it just says to you, and it should say to you, I need to do more work in my self-leadership to discover what that foundational framework is that I'm operating with. Why? Because it reflects in what you're doing with your teams. It reflects in the communities that you're working in. They're seeing you. You're the example. That example comes directly from this foundational framework. And the core, the creed, and the mindset is only one layer of that foundational framework. Now, I didn't put it in here because it would be an eye chart, but there are probably 7 or 8 layers to that foundational framework. But why? What are the outcomes of this foundational framework? Let me go on to show you what it looks like. Okay. So here are some of the outcomes of this self-leadership model. It improves your confidence and your self-esteem. It gives you the personal authenticity that you require to operate with on a day-to-day basis. It gives you personal clarity for your direction. It gives you better self-knowledge that you can work with to become better. And it gives you a personal stability, resilience, and adaptability you would not have if you didn't understand that foundational piece. But let me show you the most important piece and how it relates now, this personal foundational work, to how it relates to you leading others, okay? So here it is. How does aligned open leadership relate from you as the individual doing this personal development and growth to your leadership of others? Well, your foundation that you've built because you've done the 3 keys, the three principles, and the 4 steps leads to your authenticity. And that authenticity drives your communications, your engagement, and your relationships. That in turn drives your trust, the trust people place in you, and the trust capital you build with them over time. And it also drives that now they become to know you and like you. That is the way you drive social influence, which is the definition of what? Leadership of others. So if you look at how this works, if you do not build that foundation, how do you lead and how do you gain social influence to execute the goals and objectives you set in your communities? So let me just go back and give you a quick summary. And what I would like to say is to focus on, whoa, hang on here. It figures. It figures. It figures
okay.
like PowerPoint blows up when exactly you need it to happen. All right, so let me just go back and bring the PowerPoint on. Here we go. It's back. Let me just fire up the presentation again. Oh, that's funny.
Does anybody have questions while Larry's fixing the PowerPoint?
Dealing with this technical difficulty, yes.
Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yes, we on the line. Unfortunately, I'm a bit late, but please forgive me for that. But yeah, we are here. Thank you.
All right, so we're good to go. All right, we're back. Okay, so here are so I'm going to read these for you because, but I'm going to concentrate on the last two. Okay, so aligned open leadership is driven by foundation. So you've got to have foundation. You got to figure out what that is, who you are, what you're about, why you're about, and who you want to become. Okay. The second thing is it's guided by awareness, consciousness, and mindfulness. The third thing is it's committed to personal development and growth that you are able to do through the discovery, the development, the utilization, and the sustainability of your own personal development and growth. And the number 4, you're being purposeful, reflective, and practicing the actions required for you to become better and better every single day. Now, that gives you number 5, the ability to use any other leadership style out there under the sun that's been defined, whether it's 10, 12, or 180 or 81, and use those characteristics and still be you and be authentic. Okay. And the last one is aligned open leadership is about focusing on the communications, the engagement, and the relationship that's required to become great leaders. So finally, here we go. This is what I'm going to leave you with. Here is a very simple diagram for you guys to understand, a summary piece of what this is all about. Aligned open leadership being dependent on the 3 keys, the 4 steps, the 3 practices, and your foundation. So I'm going to ask you the really simple question now. Is your leadership of others aligned with your self-leadership? And the final question is, what is essential to you for your leadership? And the answer to that is simply your personal foundational framework.